Good morning, everyone. My name is Maya Luria with TMC for Seniors, and we are continuing on with our Healthcare Decisions Month. And today we're going to be talking about caring for the caregiver, strategies for self-care. I am thrilled to have our TMC Hospice folks with us here today. So this is actually going to, we have two presenters that are going to be on with us. So Stacy Seamus is a dedicated TMC hospice volunteer and support group facilitator. So Stacy works with our grief support group. The roles have allowed her to support others through some of life's most meaningful and difficult moments. And she's pursued her specialized training at the Caregiving Years Training Academy and earned certifications as both a master caregiver facilitator and a caregiver mentor. I also have Linda Hollis with me. You may recognize Linda. She was actually here last week for another talk. And Linda is a gerontologist. She's also the assistant professor of practice and coordinator for the Healthy Aging Certificate Program at the University of Arizona through the Department of Psychology. So Linda is also volunteers with TMC Hospice with our grief groups. So I want to welcome you both here today. How are you?
Great, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So good. So you do have an online audience along with an in-person audience today. If you're watching from home, please feel free to leave any questions in the chat and I will ask those afterwards. I'm going to go ahead and put your PowerPoint up for you so that you can get started.
Great. Thank you. Welcome everyone online. Again, my name is Linda Hollis. I'm a professor at the university. I teach a caregiving class for undergraduates, and we had to combine it into 1 hour today. So my section is going to be quite small. It's data-driven information, but we really wanted to focus on just really some techniques that you can take away, and that's Stacy's expertise. So let's get started. Like I said, I'm going to talk a little bit about caregiving demographics. I'm going to talk about a caregiver theory that is probably the most, significant that I can relate to. I was a caregiver when my mom was dying. Out of 8 months of her life, I was there for 4 months in Canada. So I was able to do that. So very special. So I can relate to some of the information that we're talking about today. Caregiver burnout. And then Stacy's going to talk about more stress management and strategies for self-care. Okay. Again, just like last week, it's good to see some of you here that were here last week. But I have a question for you. Who said a famous first lady? There are only 4 kinds of people in this world. Those who have been caregivers. Anybody here? Caregivers? Those are currently caregiving. Those who will be caregivers. And those who will need caregivers. This famous quote, which first lady has came up with this? Any guesses?
Rosalind Carter.
Yeah, absolutely. Rosalind Carter. She was a strong advocate for caregiving, amongst other things, but she absolutely came up with this. And I just love the quote. I have a bumper sticker on my car. No, just kidding. I don't. But it's so true, right? We can all relate to it. So there's information, and it's called Caregiving in the U.S. 2020. You can find it online. It is an absolute wonderful resource. And this is exactly what it's called, Caregiving in the USA 2020. It was a collaboration between AARP and the National Council on Caregiving. Is anyone familiar with the National Council of Caregiving? excellent resource as well. So they did this data gathering, and I just want to share some of the points they shared, but it is phenomenal. And they even have individual reports, like if you are a millennial caregiver, or if you're a spousal caregiver, or if you're an African American caregiver. There's so much specifics to it. So again, caregiving in the US 2020, great resource. So currently we're looking at 41.8 million people providing unpaid elder care. This is something that I am very passionate about. I have a student writing a honors thesis on caregiving for dementia, individuals living with dementia, and looking at advocacy and what can we do. We need to look at policy change. Because there's so much unpaid elder care out in America. So the average caregiver age is about 50, according to the US 2020 results, which I was surprised at, but they were looking at, and they look at all kinds of caregiving. I tried to pull out for caring for older adults. But even with that, the care recipient was about 74. So in this big data collection, the average care age of the care recipient was 74.8. That's young. And the caregiver was 50, around 50. Duration of care. They also mentioned that the folks in this study, and I think there was over I want to say 1,200 to 1,400. The duration of care was around 4 years. So, and what does that mean? Because as we know, there's different types of caregiving. There is caregiving, it could be a neighbor, right? Getting their mail, taking them for groceries. Is that considered caregiving? Absolutely. Then there's caregiving that is in our homes, right? Someone's living with us. We're doing caregiving in our homes. Sometimes we're doing caregiving in someone else's home. And this report shares all of it about how many caregivers were within a 20-mile radius, how many caregivers lived in their home with the care recipient, vice versa. And are we caregivers when a loved one is in an assisted living or independent care? Or can we still be caregivers?
Sure.
Absolutely. So it is a spectrum of caregiving, and people don't realize that we are looking at various levels of caregiving, but it still is. So in this study, this is what they said: 89% were caring for a relative, 57% are parents and in-laws, where 11% were spouses and partners. Again, a lot of information in this. And then 74% said they visit at least once a week or more. So this is just, like I said, the tipping point. And maybe if we have time, I can put the link in, or we can figure out how to put the link in, and I can do a brief review of it. So I just want to just kind of set the stage for what we're looking at. And the average hours for care in this was 22.3 hours a week, and that's average. Exactly, right? It's that spectrum. So, and again, as of any study, where do we find our participants, right? And this is, I believe, it was 50 and older. They were considering older adulthood, because part of the study was and also there's adults with like younger adults with disabilities. So it's a range of information, but there are certain reports that are specific to 50 and older. So, but yes, exactly. 22 hours a week would be great. How many 22 hours a day? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I get it. So again, we're paying attention more closely to kind of some strategies today, but I did want to share this identity theory with you all. So, and this is for a spouse, and it could be with anyone. Maybe you can relate it. So here we are, you get married, right? You're partners, you're equals, you're together, you're spouse and spouse, right? We're going through this life together. We are partners. We're doing this. Then, phase one, okay, and actually phase one can technically be your, when you get married. I cook in the house. I clean. I take care of my husband, right? Feed him, whatever. That's the natural part of a marriage, right? We're phase one. So we're a little bit of a caregiver, just generally in our marriage. Well, as an individual, a loved one, a neighbor, your care recipient, then look what's happening here. I don't know if this works. I'm just going to go here. Look what happens. Your caregiving role increases, okay? So you're being maybe more of a caregiver than that spouse connection. Not saying there's still lots of love. It's just your duties are changing. Phase three, then you're becoming actually more of a caregiver or equal caregiver and a spouse to your loved one. And then by stage 5 of caregiving, again, we're talking about that spectrum of caregiving. People are identifying themselves more as caregivers, their role in the marriage, than their spouse of what the original phase 1 of making dinner and stuff like that. So can anybody relate to this? You see it? Yeah, it really resonated with me. And again, there's so much we can talk about, the stresses, everything. But research is still showing that as much stress and financial stress that comes sometimes with caregiving, the love and the determination and the purpose outweighs all of it. So we feel these stresses, we feel these, all the things that come with caregiving, but our purpose and our love for that individual outweighs everything. And there's so much work being done in that sense of purpose. So I just wanted to share that. The next thing is caregiver burnout. Just something that I want to share a quick video, and then I'm going to sit down and Stacy's going to take over, because I didn't want, even though we're saying that, yes, this is what we do, and again, research is this purpose, we have to be realistic, right? And there is such a thing as caregiver burnout. And the goal today is how can we recognize it and how can we take care of ourselves? Because the first part of caregiver burnout is recognizing it, right? We recognize it, and then we want to do the activities. Okay, so let me press play, and then I'm going to transition over to my friend Stacy.
What is caregiver burnout? Caregiver burnout is a state of complete physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. Caregivers report higher levels of stress than non-caregivers. 21% of family caregivers rate their overall health as fair to poor. Approximately 4 in 10 caregivers find their situation to be highly stressful. An estimated 40 to 70% of family caregivers show signs of depression. So how can you prevent caregiver burnout, and how can you manage it when it happens? Accept that it's normal to feel overwhelmed and stressed. Remember that you can choose how you use your time and energy. It's okay to take some time for yourself. Here are some ways to add more me time to your life. Ask for assistance with daily duties. Set boundaries and don't take on more than you can handle. Let aside time to do things you love. Consider joining a support group. Find friends that care. Remember, time away can help you manage stress and be a healthier caregiver. Visit caregiving.com for more resources for caregivers.
It won't move forward.
While she's figuring that out. Hi everyone, my name is Stacy. I'm so glad to be here. Today I'm gonna share some stress management techniques and self-care techniques specifically for the caregiver, because honestly, you guys are my people, those unsung heroes who go overlooked often. My caregiving journey began when my husband and I moved here with our 2 small boys. My grandparents were here and the rest of my family was in Buffalo, New York. And shortly when we got here, my grandfather developed Alzheimer's. And my grandmother stepped in as his primary caregiver and I began supporting her. After he passed, then I continued to care for her. So over the 8 to 10 years that this was all happening, I saw the effect and the toll that it took on her emotionally, physically, spiritually. And that kind of drove me to volunteer for hospice and to seek the training that I did at the Caregiving Years Training Academy. I wanted people to be less lonely in their caregiving journey. That's important for me. So today I'm going to share some techniques. Some of it comes from personal experience, some of it's from my education, but my hope is that you leave here having some sort of tool that will help you feel more connected to yourself, maybe less isolated and more supported. So first, we're going to go through some stress management techniques as a caregiver you can do anywhere. Okay, so breath work and mindful movement. When we're talking about stress management for a caregiver, we need to make sure it's accessible anywhere. And breath work and mindful movement, it's proven to reduce stress, relieve tension. It helps us get out of our head when we're ruminating. It builds up that stress resilience. It improves sleep quality and mental clarity. Okay. So today, before we get started on any activity, we're going to do a breath work exercise. And we'll do a mindful movement. You all have handouts with some three breathing techniques, I believe, and then the chair yoga. So you have that to take with you. So let's get into, first we're going to do complete breathing with humming breath. Okay, so that humming breath is optional, but I highly suggest it. So typically we're sitting and we're going to sit up nice and tall. I'll demonstrate one breath before and then we'll all do it together for about 45 seconds. You're going to be stress-free after this, I promise. So, so sitting up nice and tall, I'm going to put one hand on my belly, one hand on my chest. So as I breathe, I'm going to make sure that my belly expands, my chest expands. As I exhale, I'm going to make sure it all comes in and contracts. Now, on my exhale, I'm going to hum. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to inhale. And I'm going to keep doing that. That humming breath is optional, but I love the way that it feels in my body, especially after a minute or two. So let's all start again for about 45 seconds. So everyone's sitting up nice and tall in your chair, both feet on the ground, hands wherever they're comfortable. You can put one hand on belly, one hand on heart. You can close your eyes or you can just focus on some spot softly. First, we're gonna realize and recognize where that breath is in our body right now. Is it stuck in my chest? Is it in my belly? Notice that. How does the breath feel? Is it coming out of my nose or am I breathing through my mouth? Is it cold? Is it hot? And then wherever you are, let's exhale completely. So suck in the gut, exhale, and let's start breathing in fully. In through the belly, expand the chest, and then exhale. Pull your belly muscles in as you hum the last breath. Inhale, expand belly, ribs, chest. Exhale. Few more. Inhale, deep. Exhale. Last one. Inhale, big belly, ribs, chest. Exhale. After that last one, just pause for a minute. Let your breathing come back to normal. If your eyes are closed, blink them open. And just notice the sensations in the body. Right? Stress-free, right? Maybe a little. Maybe we've relaxed our shoulders. We didn't notice before. So breath work is one way to reduce stress in the moment, right? You can be sitting anywhere, in the car, next to your loved one, in class. The next one is mindful movement. I picked yoga chair support. Now, again, you have all of this in your handout, but just one, we'll do mountain pose. So mountain pose, if you've never done yoga, we're going to do yoga. So if you can, sit away from the back of your seat. Plant both feet flat on the ground, hands resting on your knees. So we're going to start from our feet. Again, it's mindful. Yawning is appropriate. So we're going to ground our feet. So maybe spread your toes, ground the heels, make sure that the knees are nice and comfortable. Engage the belly. Sitting up nice and tall, making sure your shoulders are down the back. Looking forward, chin up, and breathe naturally. This is mountain pose in yoga. So I hope you feel your muscles. You probably feel your belly muscles, maybe your back muscles. This is mindful movement. Let's relax. So something as easy as that, again, can be done anywhere, is accessible to you for some stress management. So now that we're completely stress-free, right? No stress at all. Those handouts that we gave you. Now we had this planned as a group activity, but since we have some folks online, we're going to take about 4 to 5 minutes, and I want you to get the wheel that you have. Oh, perfect. So the wheel that you have.
Who doesn't have one? I can grab one.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And you can talk to the person next to you if you want. That would be great. I can come around and talk to you guys. But think about activities that you do that you already know that help you feel taken care of. There's no wrong activities, but be practical, right? You know how much time you have for these types of activities. So be practical and realistic. So what is something you could do today? On my wheel, I have nap. That's how I take care of myself when I'm really stressed. I sew. I can do breathing exercises. I meditate. I have affirmations that I say when I'm ruminating, that stress. I say, it matters, I matter. I watch puppy videos because I love puppies. That to me is self-care. And stretching. I phone a friend, usually my mom right now. So I want just to take a little bit of time and maybe fill in half, because we'll come back and I'll give you some strategies, but maybe half of things that you already know that you could do that would help you. Now, when we think about self-care activities, I mean, napping, did you think napping was self-care? Yeah, okay, good. So napping is anything that we do that helps us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Could be as easy as breathing. So let's see how many you come up with.
Thank you. The way it was written on the announcement, it sounded like this was going to happen, and then in the same room, the support group was going to continue. And so that's why half of everybody here is now migrating.
Well, I'm sad to see you go. So does anyone have anything really good they want to share? Yes.
I noticed a lot of hollow berry blooming. That really nice. Calms me down. It's just beautiful.
So nature gazing. Yeah.
Tai Chi.
Tai Chi, that's mindful movement.
Exercise.
Yes. Exercise.
Watching TV.
Watching TV. What's your favorite show?
I watch a lot of movies.
Okay.
I like the old movies.
Old movies.
I like series. Interesting series.
Do you like funny ones or dramas?
Oh, definitely.
Funny. Okay, good.
Is there anyone online, Jen, that has it?
See anything yet.
Doing laundry.
Laundry.
It's very relaxing.
Okay.
Come to my house. Just reading.
Reading.
Miniatures.
Miniatures? What does that mean?
Well, there's miniature houses, miniature rooms,
Do you paint them or do you
assemble them.
Okay.
And build them.
assemble them and build them? Okay. Okay, that would drive me crazy. Yes.
Gardening,
Gardening, especially right now. That's
light, not digging holes and trenches, but light gardening.
okay.
And also just sit in the sun. Just sit.
Sitting in the sun is beautiful.
Vitamin D, it's good for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Talking with special people that you've known in the past, that's sort of relaxing.
Yes. Connecting.
I guess, that feels.
Mhm.
Do the board games.
Oh, board games. Solo board games or with other people? Board games. I would guess it'd be with other people, huh? I know some people play chess by themselves. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how to play chess.
I'd win all the time.
I know.
I play chess by myself.
Problems, you set up problems, or you call up problems on the TV? Check problems?
Oh, is that how it works?
Well, normally,
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I've never played it.
that sounds fun.
Oh, good to know.
Mate in 7 moves or 3 moves, there are levels, you can, do it as a neophyte, probably up to master level, I don't know.
Wow,
That sounds fun.
thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Good to know.
Very warm shower.
Ooh, a warm shower. I would argue a cold shower.
I put very warm because you're not supposed to take hot showers, it dries your skin.
Okay.
I love it hot, but I have to remind myself, just
Yeah.
very warm.
Okay. So these are all practical activities that we can do without leaving our house most of the time, right? Because sometimes we can't. So some other self-care strategies that we've kind of already said, but I want to go through. Now, I want to just preface self-care with mindfulness. Everything that we do, if we say phoning a friend is self-care, I would challenge you to kind of pause and say, okay, I'm calling my friend for self-care, and then make the call. Okay, so just telling yourselves, like, I'm doing this for self-care, and then do the activity. Instead of just going to lay down and take a nap.
I'd like, may I add?
Yeah.
So when we look at self-care and mindfulness, we also, like, when a good example is picking up the phone to call, the mindfulness part of it is to be present on the call. Not doing the dishes when you're talking to your friend, not, putting away groceries. Do you see that difference? So that's what, when we look at mindfulness and self-care, it's being present. So even that phone call is being present at that moment, sitting, absorbing. If you're outside, the sunshine, feeling it, listening to it. So when we talk about mindfulness, that is, that's what it is. And that's an example. So I just wanted to share that. And we had a question.
I had FaceTime coffee with my girlfriend who's been away from Tucson for 16, 17 years. In the morning, every morning, we'll have coffee.
Yes.
And we'll talk about our day, what we're going to be doing. And it's something that kind of grounds you for the day. And you're looking at each other.
Yes, I love it. And I'll just repeat it for people online, that just the idea of having morning coffee with a close friend on FaceTime or Zoom or whatever that is. I have wine happy hours with my aunt who's 80 in Canada, but that's myself, our connection. But coffee is a good idea in the morning. But that is absolutely, and you're present, you're there for one another. Great example. So that's when we talk about self-care. We can do all of it, but when Stacy says mindfulness, it is that presence of all the feelings and senses and the wind blowing if we're outside on the patio, whatever that is. So that's bringing mindfulness. So
Perfect. Thank you. So some strategies we can use is sleep hygiene. Is this laughable? Sometimes, right? So maybe creating a routine around going to sleep. Maybe you take that 5 minutes to pray. Maybe you take time to journal before you go to sleep. Maybe you look at a funny video. Creating ritual around sleep hygiene if you're not able to sleep throughout the night because it's being interrupted. Creating that ritual could help. Nutrition. We all know that eating cake for breakfast and then for lunch and then for dinner doesn't make us feel the best. So prioritizing our nutrition, fueling ourselves with fuel, with the foods that we know make us feel good.
Not emotionally.
Physically feel good.
That's good for us, yes.
Now, we live in the desert, so I think that most of us, I hope, most of us are really good about hydrating. But if you're not, maybe you can come up with fun little ways, like creating hydration stations in your house. Maybe you have a fun little water bottle that attracts you to pick it up to drink. Or maybe you always look out the same window, putting a glass by the window, just as a reminder, drink some water. Personal time. Okay, you're all here, so that's encouraging. You're taking some time for yourself. But this could be sewing, this could be knitting, this could be playing a board game, reading, making sure that you have that time to connect with yourself. Self-love mantra. Now, earlier I talked about breathing and mindful movement, kind of getting us out of that stress rumination. And this self-love mantra, for me, really helps me with that. Mine is always, it matters, I matters. That's kind of, if I get stuck in stress mode or if I'm just feeling it, that's what I usually say to myself. Other things I've used in the past is grace over guilt, grace over guilt, grace over guilt. Something I say a lot. So it just helps you get out of that rumination. Does anyone have a self-love mantra that they sort of say?
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I accept what I cannot change. Accept what I cannot change. Yeah. Letting go of guilt. So I want to make sure that you all know that you are worthy and should never feel guilty or selfish for taking time for yourself. A self-care act to try to let go of that guilt might be meditating, might be journaling, might be talking with somebody else. Because I'm sure that other person knows that you're worth it. So when you forget, maybe you have someone remind you. Ask for and accept help. Now, I understand that this is tricky, right? Because as caregivers, we have a foundation, a routine, and when something else gets thrown in there, it messes it up. It might cause us anxiety. So I challenge you to maybe think of 2 or 3 things that if I say, I really want to help you today, is there something I can do? Yeah, you could go do my laundry or you could go pick up lunch for me because that's not going to mess with your routine. That's not going to create change, right? A caregiver has 100 million things in their head of what they have to do in a day. And for me to explain it to somebody is difficult. So if we have that short list of things that they can help us with, that might help. Can anyone think of something that maybe they could ask somebody to do that wouldn't disrupt their daily routine?
Get the mail.
Get the mail. Nothing. See? I knew it.
I think you have to have someone to ask. If you don't have someone to ask, it doesn't matter.
You're right. You're right. So we connect with friends, get that support. Right. But if we have nobody, what do we do? Maybe that ask is, hey, I really need to talk for just 5 minutes. Can I just talk to you for 5 minutes? Could you hold that space for me? If there's no one physically there to help you. My favorite is to get some laughs. Talk with a friend who you can't stop laughing with. Maybe have a conversation with yourself. I mean, I'm funny, so I laugh at all my jokes. watching your favorite comedian, maybe watching videos that are endless on Instagram or the internet or YouTube, wherever platform you're on, just to get a little bit of a laugh.
Add to that,
Yeah.
too. I just want to, and I've also heard that some people find if they laugh, it's bad. You know, if like the caregiver laughing, like if, you know, I have a terminal mother that, you know, and that to laugh, they feel guilty about feeling pleasure in a situation. And we tell them, no, that's beautiful. And your care recipient probably wants to laugh too. Like it's so healthy. And so I just wanted to, again, plant that seed, because some people think that laughter is bad when it's, you know, they're in a caregiving situation, but it absolutely is healthy and beautiful. So
Yeah. And lastly, connect with friends and family.
Yeah.
Whether it's a text message, a phone call, a coffee via Zoom, trying to maintain that connection. So now that we've kind of talked about some self-care strategies, did anything new come up?
Is that a handout or can I take a picture of that screen?
Take a picture, yes. So did anything new come up for somebody? Like, oh, that's a good idea. I could do that for self-care.
Mantra,
The mantra,
journaling.
journaling, it's big.
I find if there's no one to talk to, write it out.
Yep. There's no one to talk to. Yep, write it out, talk to yourself. There's no one there who's gonna judge you.
Myself.
Well, tell them to be quiet. Oh, screaming into a pillow. That's probably my top 5, yes.
Jen, did the laughter yoga thing already happen?
We have laughter yoga once
yeah.
a month
Oh.
here. So if you just want to come laugh with a group of people,
I love that.
it's a free program that we offer, and it's great.
Laughter yoga.
Teaches the mindfulness breathing techniques with laughter, and
It's beautiful.
a little like 40-minute class section to brighten your day.
It's beautiful. Did we all get pictures? See more pictures? We'll wait. Anybody online? Any strategies that they aha moment? Anything? Anyone struggling to come up with a self-care strategy, you might need some help. Okay.
I think it's mostly you come up with ways, but you don't have time to do them.
Because you're busy.
Okay. I understand that. So do you have 30 seconds to stop and breathe?
I try.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, my problem tends to be more, I try to set a goal for something, whether it be exercise or whatever, and then other things keep interfering with my program,
Right.
so to speak.
Okay. So things keep coming up and it gets in the way of your goals. Like you want to exercise and it gets in the way. But that mountain pose that we did took 10 seconds and that was exercise. You were grounding your feet, you were engaging your belly, you were opening up your chest, engaging the back muscles. That was exercise. So maybe smaller goals. bite-sized goals, right? I'll stretch. I'll just sit in a chair and stretch my hamstrings. That could be your exercise for the day.
I think you have to decide what's important in your life and whether you have to do that for yourself, to talk to yourself, not, that's something that you can do.
I think that's easier said than done, but yes, yes.
You move when you're older and you don't know anybody and you have to do something.
It does seem overwhelming. Self-care strategies, it seems very overwhelming. So why don't we break them down into bite-sized goals? Taking 30 seconds to stop and just notice. Maybe that's all you have time for.
You can always get therapy.
Yes, you can. Therapy is a wonderful, wonderful suggestion.
Support groups, it doesn't even have to be therapy, you know, just support groups. There's a lot of caregiver support groups, I think, out there.
There are virtual communities. You could use Facebook. There's also Caring for You. That's a great online community. They do a lot. Okay. So in order to take care of ourselves, we may need to set some boundaries, seek support. Now, I could do a whole class on setting boundaries, but what I will say, high level, is boundaries is not about keeping people out. It's about protecting your energy. The end, period. Protecting your energy. With boundaries, it's kind of tricky though, because you have to know what you need. Scary. Most of us don't know what we need in the moment. So maybe just take some time and recognize, I'm so stressed out right now. A cup of coffee would be really great for me. And I need so-and-so to come over to sit with so-and-so in order for me to go have that coffee. Or I just need to make a phone call. I need 30 seconds. So when we're setting boundaries, let's say you have a friend who comes over every Thursday at around noon. And you're like, God, she's here again. At noon is my busiest time. I'm trying to get lunch for my loved one, and it stresses me out more than helps me. I love my friend, but this is really not helpful. So using I statements. Look, I love to see you and I love spending time with you, but Thursdays at noon is really hard for me. I have 100 things going on, and I can't spend the time with you that I'd like to. How about we move this to like a Tuesday or a Wednesday? And be consistent with your goals. So if you've set a boundary, like, okay, don't come to my house on Thursday, and she shows up on Thursday, say, I thought we talked about this. Thursday's really busy for me, and I don't have time to sit with you. Can you come back later Friday, or whatever the case is? Being consistent. That delegate tasks, right? I'm going to skim right over that because we already talked about asking for help and delegating tasks. If you have someone in your life that that consistently breaks those boundaries, or it's really hard for you to set boundaries, maybe practice in the mirror, some language. Maybe talk to a friend. Hey, I need some language around this situation. Google. Hey, Google, what do I say if my friend keeps showing up on Thursday and I can't stand her showing up on Thursday? So practice saying no without guilt, because no is a complete sentence. Most importantly, seeking support. Okay, we can do this with our friends and family. We can do this with support groups. The senior center, they have great activities, great community gathering events. Take advantage of that. And professional care. To sum up, you are worthy of care. Each and every one of you deserve care. So I hope that with this breath work and these maybe mindful movement, the wheel that we came up with, these self-care activities, moving through it with mindfulness, setting those boundaries to protect your energy and seeking support help you in your journey. And you are not alone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You both want to stand there?
Yes.
Oh.
We'll ask you questions.
In here?
In front of the laptop.
Yeah, in front of here. Okay, wonderful. Any questions?
So I do have some questions that came in, and thank you for providing those techniques. I know if you maybe signed up late for the presentation online, feel free to give us a call in the office. We're happy to send out those handouts to you as well. I know somebody was also asking if they could get a copy of the presentation for later. So I'm happy to get that out as well if somebody would like that.
And Maya,
yes.
Maya, I emailed you the link for that report.
Yes.
So the report, the Caregiving 2020 report that I just talked about earlier. So Maya can email it to folks.
I can include that as well. So thank you. But I did have a couple of questions that came in. One was, what are some questions caregivers can ask themselves as a check-in, or, to see how they're doing? And I think even expanding on that is, if you have somebody who might be concerned about the caregiver, how can they approach that in a way that doesn't feel, showing concern for the caregiver and just making sure that they have time for themselves? What can people do?
I guess I didn't understand the question. So
what are questions caregivers can ask themselves as a check-in on how they're doing? So how do we know how they're doing? What can they do to make sure that they're feeling okay?
Like what they ask themselves, like a check-in with themselves.
Got it.
Like,
The check-in is, how am I feeling? It could be as that simple. How am I feeling? What's going on in my body? Like, do almost like a body scan of really how they're feeling emotionally, physically, are they sleeping? All of those things. And if there is that tension or that negativity, which happens, right? We can be angry too of what's going on. Checking in and recognizing it, and then using the techniques and what works best for them. But
I would also say we respond to our environment. So I think, okay, how did I respond to that driver in front of me who was going 5 miles under the speed limit? How did I respond to that? Do I need to stop, slow down, breathe? How did I respond to my loved one asking me, hey, what's for lunch? Did I respond appropriately or not so appropriately?
That agitation, it's a red flag, needing.
So just checking in with your behavior to outside stimulus, I think for me is a huge indicator.
Great, thank you. So I had another question that came in, and that was, do you have tips for how people can ask for help? I know as a caregiver, you're the one that's sort of in control, right? You're the ones that you're sort of, you take it all in. How do you ask for help, right? A lot of people don't like to ask for help. What are some tips that you might have for that?
I think asking for help is, again, knowing what you need. What do you need help with? It's just saying, I need help. That's not helpful for the other person. But I need help with laundry, or I need help with meals this week. I need help taking my loved one to an appointment. I need a 5-minute conversation with you once or twice a week. So I think journaling helps, sitting still. What would help me in this moment? Right? So being very specific when you're asking for help, I think, is key.
Good. And, the other thing is, and sometimes I don't know that people want to be helpful, but they say, they say, well, let me know what I can do. And sometimes people won't respond to that. But I know that if you gave them a specific thing to say, like, you know what, could I walk your dogs today? You know, they may be able to be more accepting of that, or because they're afraid to maybe ask you for that help. I know I've encountered that before in, different situations. So if there's something that maybe you can do to maybe ease that burden, but provide that suggestion of something that you're feeling, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it goes both ways, that as someone asking for help, be specific, but if you know people or caregivers, you can also ask them, but be specific.
Right.
Yeah.
I can help you walk your dog.
Yeah.
I can get the mail for you every day.
Yeah.
And they may say no, but it'll open up a more conversation. No, I don't need help walking my dogs because that's my time, but I do need help with. So even that opens a conversation more than it would by saying, what can I help you with?
Right. Or can I bring you dinner or whatever it is? Right. But yes. Are there any apps or a book recommendation to help someone take care of their mental health and to help them practice mindfulness?
Oh, for mindful.
Calm is one of the most common ones. CALM. Do you see it sometimes when you watch TV? You take a calm moment and then they do. So there actually are quite a few. They tend to be, they cost money though, which is unfortunate. I don't know what the free ones are and what you get from them, but it does not hurt to look at them up to see what is best for your needs. But I haven't seen specific.
They have one, it's called Insight Timer.
That one just came up. Somebody actually just put that into the chat.
Insight Timer. Now they do have some paid stuff, but there's like thousands and thousands of free meditations for the day. It's for anybody.
You really check books out online at the library so that you have them at home.
Yes,
And
check
once
books
you set
out.
that up, you can continually check out books.
Yes.
They're audio and,
digital and regular.
It depends on which way you want them.
I have a book that I love, and I think it's called How to Eat an Elephant or something like that. I have it with me. Hold on 1 second.
Yes, we're going to have to know the name for sure, because that one sounds very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
How to train an elephant, not eat an elephant. Same difference.
How to train an elephant.
How to train an elephant. Okay, great.
Wild elephant.
A wild. And these are just mindful techniques, like using your non-dominant hand to do things.
Who's the author?
The author is
Jan Chosen Bays. And she's a MD. Jan, CHOZEN BAYS.
Spell that again.
Jan, last name CHOZEN, and then Bays, capital BAYS. MD, author of Mindful Eating.
That's where I got it.
That's where we started.
So we also had a suggestion of another book that came in saying The Comfort Book by Haig was also just recommended by one of our viewers as well. If you don't have, and if maybe you don't have any additional supports, you don't really have anyone, who do you ask for help? How do you ask? Or, is it, I know you're doing sort of that internal check-in, of course, maybe join a support group or something that maybe with that community that would maybe be helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be with your community and people alike. And it's interesting. And, Rosalind Carter, right? There's 4. we are caregivers, we've been caregivers, we're going to be, you know, we're around. We have to have that conversation and be with your community and alike people, because you're not alone. You are not, and sometimes it feels like that, and a lot of times it does, but.
Right.
Again, like Facebook or through the Mighty app, Caring for You, that's a virtual community. So you don't have to go anywhere. They would have resources nationwide. The Pima Council on Aging, I think, is a great resource too.
Great. Thank you. I want to thank you both so much for being here today and sharing all of these techniques and suggestions. It really is so important for everyone to have, to learn what the strategies might be, ways that they can help. And, so thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to wrap up with our online audience, and I will turn it over to you for any questions in person. So
Just one, Jen is saying quick.
Somebody asked if you could repeat the Facebook again.
Oh, the name of the Facebook page that you just mentioned, Stacy.
So it's not through Facebook, but Facebook has communities.
Oh, okay. Great.
But it's called Mighty app.
Mighty app.
Mighty app, and then it's Caring for You.
Okay, so it is an actual app then.
Yes.
that you can get called Caring for You.
Yes.
So the Mighty app, Caring for You. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And like I said, I'm going to wrap up with our online audience. I'll turn it over to you. Thank you. Thanks again for being here for today's talk. We are going to be back next week as well. So we have From Soil to Gut, the Bacterial Bridge Supporting Health and Well-Being. That's on Tuesday, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to starting at 10 a.m. The other class that we've got going on next week is Legal Documents You Should Have, a Comprehensive Overview. That is going to be on Thursday, April 24th at 3 p.m. If you are interested in either of these classes, please give us a call in the office. Our phone number is 520-324-1960. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.